Hello everyone, this is Martin Lynch. I haven't made a movie for a very long time. So on behalf of Martini Ravioli on YouTube and on behalf of the Global Think Tank on YouTube and on behalf of Get Some News Tasmania, as in SUM, because we give you the facts and the figures. Okay, I've got some topics today. I'm not in front of the camera, I'm behind it because I find I work better when I'm not behind the camera or in front of the camera. I'll be behind the camera. I'll be behind the camera. So today I've got 10 topics that I want to talk about. They are: number one is what is intelligence? 2, what I think the Australian intelligence communities think of me. Don't laugh. Haha. 3, would I work for an intelligence community? And what would my role be? And would I do it in stages? 4, how I'm an ET experiencer and witnessed over 1100 sightings. And as time goes on, I've ended up being a channeler and have many epiphanies into understanding the truth of how things are out of thin air. 5, my thoughts on Trump. Also my thoughts on Putin. My thoughts on Jullian Assange. My thoughts on Jung Un. My thoughts on Trurnbull. My thoughts on HR McMaster. And my thoughts on Mike Pompeo, the CIA director. 6, what is reality to me? 7, if we are in a computer simulation, and if so, how not to get down about it. Don't get your knickers in a knot. Do 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 do. 8, my opinion, how to overcome war, and will it have to be a joint global project in the arts in form of to push by the entertainment industry, covering all forms of art and possible scenarios and possible futures, and obviously outlaying the possible bad things that could happen. 9, in my opinion, who are the global top players? The 1% of the 1%, the Federal Reserve and the oil companies, the IMC, the industrial military complex. 10, why never to give up if you're intelligent and informed and no one else believes you? Why to push on? Well, that's something to think about. Okay, so I'm not going to sing in this one because I've done enough singing. So what is intelligence? Well, sometimes people can mix intelligence and smartness as being, they don't know what's what. To me, and this is just my opinion, being smart just means that you can retain information. It may not be right, but you can retain it and you use it for your advantage to help your situation. And by being smart, you do what helps you on the scale of the now and in the near future. Intelligence to me means that, hey, you can think up how everything works and how it all comes together, but you don't always put it into practice because you might procrastinate, you might get down because no one believes you because they can't comprehend it, and you choose not to go forward in it. So intelligence, what is intelligence? Well, I think it comes in many forms. There's emotional intelligence and intellectual intelligence. I'm very intellectual, I'm not that smart, but if I use my smartness and create it to be intelligent and make it intellectual property. So intelligence for me could be, okay, Martin, you're going to, instead of focus all your attention on the global situation, everything, to be more intellectual and use your intelligence would be to work on your smartness, as in what you need to do this week, what you have to do next week, how are you going to get your family back, how are you going to get things working. So I would have to say I'm going to, as in my intelligence is my strong point, I'm going to have to use it to persevere into pushing for smartness. So intelligence, that's just a short rundown. I'm sure the intelligence communities out there would have their own way of how they would describe it. But with me, I'm a channeler, I'm a medium, I gain epiphanies, and I wouldn't say, yeah, I can work it out, so I suppose I'm intelligent, but I wouldn't say that I should hold all the glory for everything that I've worked out, because I do channel it. 2, what I think the Australian intelligence communities think of me. Well, don't laugh, but guess what? I'm an ET experiencer. And I've had so many sightings, and this would be classed under the curiosity of we want to know, and it being in national security interest. So yes, I would be highly up there as in people watching me. I've seen a few things from the intelligence community and think that, oh, they would love me to start working for them, but you know, keep on doing your own thing if it helps the whole scenario. So the intelligence communities, I think that, you know, if they were thinking Martin's going to join one of us, they would start probing and putting things in front of my nose for me to, you know, work for them. I wanted to go for a job at ASIO. I'm now thinking that ASIS, fantastic bunch of people. So if I was to go for them, I wouldn't say on here or tell anyone in person my application letter, because that has to be top secret, or else it could affect my eligibility of being in working with them, because obviously if you're going to tell people about something that's outlined as being top secret, you shouldn't tell people. So I'm not going to go into that, but if I was to work for any intelligence community, I think ASIS. So what do they think of me? Well, I think they would be like, Martin, we know codename Roger, we know the Eagle has landed, and we just want you to get your shit together. Sing a little song for us. Okay, so what I do is I get out my phone and I make many recordings. And I keep it open there for the intelligence communities, because yes, they would look at it. I have seen prompts and things prodded in my direction that, hey, no such thing as privacy. Every digital device is pretty much a form of spy capability. And I would think they would be like, Martin, we want to personally be in the scenario and on the stage and the level of being like you, that hey, every ET from every universe has come down to see. We've seen the satellites, we've seen the camera footage and the photos of over in Glebe Hill in Howrah, Tasmania, Australia, where all the night quakes, where the sky flashes as being bright as anything for like a 20k radius. We've seen the ET craft appear, we've seen all that, and guess what? You're writing up theses at the end of the night explaining it that we read, and I would think they would highly regard it as being very useful to them. Now on to the next one. 3. Would I work for an intelligence community? What would my role be, and would I do it in stages? Well, I've only really researched ASIS, to tell you the truth. There was a stage 2 years ago I was doing my own application letter, writing my own selection criteria for ASIO, but I never got around to it because the doctor said I was crazy, and it got me a bit down because I'm a bit of a girl and I don't like getting told that I'm stupid or have got grandiose ideas. So, okay, there was an entry level for a intelligence officer. I would love to do that. It's a traineeship. It's between 76 grand, I think, and 106 grand. Tell you the truth, that's a lot more money than I'm getting paid right now. I would like to do that role for a couple of years, and then I'd like to say to the boss, hey, I would love to do a job in HR, because I would like to get to know everyone, and I would like it to be clear that I don't want to get to know everyone's clearances and all the information that they want to know. I want to have my own office in HR. I want to have a coffee machine there and a kitchen. And each day, the day before, I read up on the person that's going to come into my office the next day. I make them breakfast, make them a coffee, have a chat, have a few laughs. They go off to work and do their thing. They come back at lunch. I give them a coffee, I cook them lunch, we have a good chat, and basically I'm there to work on human relations, customer service, showing hospitality in the nature it is, and basically bringing the people together and to listen to anything that people want to say, that they feel that they need to say, to keep every employee happy and wanting to work for us as in ACES. And that basically through the connection of consciousness and them not telling me the itty gritty details of how everything is, and they get to know me and they ask me some questions and ask them some questions, they will get to a stage that they will know what my answer would be if they outlined the top secret information, because I don't want to be sleep talking and tell someone. I don't want to know the bad stuff. I want to enjoy my work. I want to bring us together. And I think that if I did it in stages that I'd love to do it. I'd love to bring hospitality to it. I'd love to bring customer service to it. And I'd like it to be sort of, from the roots that hold us and make us and have started us. And I believe that we should be enriched in finding the essence of what and where we were when we were younger, to the curious little cats prodding and probing everything and trying to work out everything is, because us as a human race have got a lot of potential. And guess what? We aren't supposed to be greedy, hurtful, all these bad things. We are supposed to be like children that have got good parents, and greater, because every year you should better something about yourself. And I would just love to say, hey, ACES, I'm going to keep on doing my thing for a couple of years. I'm going to move to Bruny Island. I'm going to get myself all straightened out and all worked up, and keep on doing my thing, and then I'm going to apply. But just I would say that all the best. Keep on keeping it real, as Ali G would say, and know that one day we will meet, and maybe they might say, hey, through the takes one to know one, and every organization has its flaws, that we've thought we will contract you and we want you to do your own thing, because at the moment things aren't at a stage that we could maximize you as for who you are. And I'm not sure what that means, and I'm not sure what I'm trying to get at, but all I'm saying is if I went for a role and they put me on certain tasks and then I got infiltrated by someone putting in some word for someone to do something, and I didn't reach the same potential as I could have done with a bit of money and a bit of support doing my own thing, then I'd say it wouldn't be the best of things. And that's no hit at ACES. I think you guys are amazing, and I would be honored to work for you guys. 5, my thoughts on Trump. Well, I think he's doing a brilliant job. My dad hates him. My ex-partner hates him. Well, I wouldn't say hate, but they don't see him for how I see him. And I'm in the same category as what dickheads out there think of me. And I would think that how much he's changed and how much he's learned and how much he's developed and how much he has done in his presidency is going to be remembered for eons. And I hope he gets in for another 4 years after he's finished this. So my advice to Trump would be keep HR McMaster in there. Yeah, just be on the ball and, do it from the heart and use your intuition and, get some more advisors, keep on doing your thing. But I would say that every month you should put on another advisor, and you don't have to get them to just engorge their self in your time, but it's to more keep the variable of ever greatening and offering variables to never be put in a state that people can manipulate you by knowing what your path is and to the destination of the interworkings of everyone around you, to manipulate it and make it so that they can use you by being able to use you. Putin. Well, I think you're a good guy. I think that You know, for me, when I see Putin and, you know, they're showing simulations and they're showing all these things, and I'm like, it must be some Russian thing that they don't show all their technology, and they try and make it that this is good, but they know that they're making it out there for the population of the world that watch them to think that they've got nothing. That's just my thought. But my thought would be that sort of, you know, they do things their own certain way. And, you know, I would have to say to Putin that I would like you for how much money that you've got. And then if you kept that at the same scale for, say, if you're worth, say, $14 billion or whatever it is, I'm not sure, I haven't looked into it that much, and the average person is on like $60,000 a year. Well, I would say that give or take, it should be on that same ratio. But I would like you to keep your money for power, but to invest it back into the population of Russia. And, you know, you're a white race, you're like me. I'm Scottish in Australia. So I think that we have to do and keep the reputation of the white race as being good. So, you know, no badness to the English, but the English, what they've done to Native America and Native Australia, to the Aboriginals, there's a lot of work that needs to be doing. So Putin, you know, keep up the good work, keep on smiling, and, you know, don't put up with any shit, but don't get fiery, don't go into war, and try and use a bit of humour when dealing with confrontation. Now, Jullian Assange. Well, I watched a movie going back a year or two ago, and Jullian Assange started having that emotional voice like me. And I was like, oh, this is so about me. And then, you know, Mike Pompeo's like, oh, you could have put a family at risk. But I think Julian Assange is, you know, he said that he likes Trump, you know. I think the words that I put out there is them being the global police, but to respect people that have got jobs and, you know, not be total cunts. But, you know, use it to be that, you know, you've got the information if anyone's going to do anything wrong. So, Jullian Assange, I hope it all works out. I hope that one day you get the life that you deserve and we get to meet. Kim Jung Un. Well, I think you know, like you're always smiling, you always look happy for what's in the news about you killing your uncle or you killing all these people. You don't personally look like someone that's killed someone. When I look up you on YouTube, all I see is a lot of propaganda and a lot of movies coming out. I would like you to have your own English interpreter interpret something that you've said, and I want you to write a letter of how you want to advance your country in going forwards in being able to work in the opposite of getting those sanctions taken down. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I've got this thing thinking that, hey, the IMC were going to go to war with someone. And if it wasn't you, it would have been China or Russia, and that could have ended us all. So I would say to look at this, Kim, would be, you know, take up some drawing, do some comedy, do some singing, and compile it all together and do something that gets people to, like, say if you made a one-hit wonder and you had, like, in the movie, as in the visuals of slogans and things that you want to do that are good, then I think you could get everyone in the world to see you in a different light than they are getting seen. You are getting seen as. Malcolm Turnbull. Well, hey, you've been on the aircraft carrier. You know, I've seen that smile. Don't you bloody tell me. Oh, only joking. It's all good. And Roger Ramjet to save the day. And basically, Malcolm Turnbull. Well, you've definitely come out to start sounding a lot more genuine, but you're not taking it for what it's worth to the degree of coming out to totally sound ridgy-ditch. Alright, politics have really got to change, and the Australian politics really piss me off because you all well, not you, but everyone sounds like a bunch of turkeys. I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't even be able to throw them, and I don't think they're credible. So Malcolm Turnbull, what I want you to do is basically, I'd love to get a job. I want to work for Trump. I think Australia is too manipulated by all the strings coming out of America that didn't start in America, but being in America to the favour of the New World Order. I think Malcolm Turnbull, how we overcome the New World Order is to create a new town order. Hear that, Trump? The new town order. Hear that, Putin? The new town order. So what you do is you go into the towns in the government realm of everything, and you basically build up infrastructure, build and put in policies to benefit and build the town to be more standalone, to be more into working with other towns, and to create in each town a think tank. So that's it, a think tank that works with all think tanks, and started off as an institution building on working on an educational system. So basically, you give the towns the rights, you give the towns the money, and you basically work on the bigger ones to work on the smaller ones. And that's how we overcome the New World Order, because we start the new town order. Okay, HR McMaster. Well, first thing I saw of you was the future of war, and you kept on picking up your glasses, and I had glasses like that, and I thought it was a hint as into when you were talking to me, and you were talking about Russia and then China, but it wasn't like I'm having a go voice. It was basically you were just saying that they're doing what they're doing, but it's not that bad. And I showed you one of my mates, one of you, and he thought, oh, you were just some guy, but I think you're a good guy. I have seen how you act in situations, and I think that you had a good you're brought up well. I think that you've got manners, you're a nice person, and basically I would hate for you to resign in this position as head of National Security Advisor. If you were, I'd love to take your place, but I would still like you to be there and know that at the end of the day, whatever Trump would say, he still loves you, and to know that it's all good, and you've got an awesome name, McMaster. McMaster, you are the master. So keep up the good work, and know that if your heart's always in it and you always try and get above the game, then do what it takes to do what you got to do to make everything in the fashion of being in God's name. Mike Pompeo, the CIA director. Well, the Italian stallion, coming from Italy. I'm quarter Italian, or as they would say in Australia, Italian. I'm quarter Italian, got a lot of respect for you, all right? You're a good guy, and it's not like everyone in the world is going to hear this to put it out there for people to be shitted off in the CIA. But for all the coke that the CIA dispensed before, I think you can bring it back together, and we can make something that no one gets in trouble that did it. And to know that all you really needed to do was have confidence in a world that was crazy, bringing you down. I need a line of confidence. Da-da-da-da-da. So hopefully that doesn't piss you off and know, oh Martin, what are they going to think? But hey, no average viewer is going to watch this. So I'd have to say you're going to save the ship. I really do think you're going to save the ship. And who cares if you import cocaine, But where's mine? Okay. Okay, 6. What is reality to me? Well, what is reality to me? Well, reality to me could be, I could say something on how I feel and how I think things are, but it might not be there yet. But I persevere, and through my grandiose ideas and perseverance that pushes it forward, that I could potentially make it reality by spreading it to everyone, and to keep on going over it. And basically what reality is basically, if during the day, and you can use substances to help, but I have epiphanies on how everything just comes together and how it works. And I've basically been able to change some reality by coming to the quantum and the physical realm and the intellectual realm of the metadata to make it metaphysical to create something. And basically all it is like magnets, and things that attract and come together basically form a relation. And the more people that get on the realm of knowing how that works basically sends it out like a beacon to attract it to come into its relative realm. So that might sound airy fairy and all crazy, but it could be that if you just, discovered God and you were like, oh, it's so good, I'm going to do so much good. You're walking down the street with a smile, having a laugh, thinking away. Some bogan makes fun of you, but you're just like, oh, mate, oh, you don't know what I've gone through. Here's a smoke, mate. What's going on? And he's like, mate, I was having a go at you and you're giving me a smoke. And I was like, mate, I just worked out God. And I just think that, fuck it. You probably had a bad day. Your missus is probably having a bad day. Your dealer's probably having a bad day because you didn't pay your tick. But I'm going to say that, today is my day to shine. And if you see me tomorrow, you don't have to give me a smoke, but give me some good thoughts. Give me some good things to bring me up, because guess what? I probably had to come up against 1,000 other cunts today that brought me down. But if you can bring me up tomorrow, my friend, then I think being nice to you, offering you a cigarette, is the best thing that I could have done. And my life experience, and to tell you something that would be meaningful and useful to you, would be that basically, if you're going to do something that brings you down, then I would work on systems, procedures, and writing and physical elements to be left in stone in the foreseeable realm that help your situation. And basically, things can take you through a door, but you've got to go through that door normally. And there is basically, mate, just who cares if you're a bogan? If you're a happy bogan and you bring people up, that's all good. Don't care what anyone thinks about you or thinks of you. If you've thought about it on both sides to know, is this going to get me down from going forward? Should I spend time on this to make a change? Hey, you may have to tell everyone to fuck off. Hey, I've got a joke to say to the bogan. The bogan's like, what's that joke? And it goes, do you know, I forgot the joke. Anyway, we'll go on from that because we're not telling the Ben Cousins joke. Okay, 7. Are we in a simulation, as in a computer simulation? And if so, how not to get down about it? So are we in a simulation? 99.99% of matter of the atom is pretty much of no solidity and of basically empty space. Quantum rays fade at a degree that look like could be us in a simulation. We co-create reality. We could be a system to show the creator how to work out a problem, because it needs to know through us having downfalls. Imagine this, right? You're the smartest person in the world, but you're not gaining any more information, any more knowledge, advancing your situation. But you've got this really good smart computer that goes, you fucking idiot, you're supposed to do this, or just do this. And it's like, oh, you're hurting my ego. I can't learn. I can't do this. So I'm going to look at all you people, go through down points and everything. Or basically, we're in a simulation because reality and a system and an essence of reality was in the realm that we can't see, but before it. and people wanted to create something, and we hadn't yet been created. And basically, to the end of our life is pretty much the data of the way of the progress that we make. And someone owns us, people can interact with us, there's energies, there's other life forms, and basically I think that the human race is to show us a being of no significance whatsoever, but basically not wiped out, because they look at the human race, they look at the kids and they go, these kids could have been good. These kids are good, but they're not as good as they could be. So we're not going to wipe you out, because that would be ridiculous. And basically, I think, like in this movie script that I've got, that the human race is a combination of every race in the Milky Way, and we're their little project to basically, for them, other races not getting on, for us to all come together and to say, hey, we're going to laugh at ourselves and make ourselves funny, because that's all we got to do. And we're going to laugh, and we're going to create a thunderstorm, and we're going to blow some clouds on you. So I don't know what that means, but that's my bit of comedy. 8. My opinion on how to overcome war. Will it have to be a joint global project in the arts, in a form of the push by the entertainment industry, covering all forms of art in the arts realm, and showing possible scenarios and possible future outcomes? Well, I'm working on a movie script as we speak, writing it to Donald Trump, and I'm going to get Donald Trump and his colleagues to work with me and the Australian Police Force and ASIS in creating a movie script that we all have partnership, we all have shares in, we all have energy put into making this work. And it's to have a G rating, an MA rating, and an R rating. G rating is for the whole family to watch. MA is that shows World War III, but not totally crazy. 18 plus is to be the unedited, holy fucking shit, dark, but it fucking makes up for it. So we'll go into that later, but I think that we have to do it through the arts, and we have to show it for everyone to listen to and to everyone to see and enjoy it, and it has to be open to interpretation. 9. In my opinion, who are the global players? Well, you've got the 1% of the 1%. You've got the Federal Reserve Bank, you've got the oil companies, and you've got the IMC, the Industrial Military Complex. So basically, they are the people that I think are the top people. The 1% of the 1% could be really good, but the people working for them are basically pulled the wool over their eyes and have been doing a lot of nasty stuff using their technology. And basically, it's like someone that could be smart but gets the wool pulled over their eyes and gets made to do stupid things. That I think that the 1%, because I've marketed it to them, that they can turn around and change, and to know, hey, all we have to do is get Marty high and basically have a chat, have a talk, and to know that everything's going to work out all right. And basically, if Marty can make so much contact, but he's pretty perfect compared to some people. But there's a window of showing that anyone that works on this can get through. So the IMCs, well, I'd have to say that one day you might change your job description to basically working with me on this movie to give us the technology to create special effects that blow everyone's minds and that you all get out for free. But basically, in my opinion, the top players, I think that you can work on things and you can work things out. So, at the end of the day, you don't have to be perfect, but you just have to try and you have to make a change. 10. Why never to give up? If you've proved to yourself that you're intelligent, intellectual, and informed, and have studied and researched, but no one believes you because they can't comprehend it because you are smarter than them, why to push on? Well, push on to know that at the start you gave up, but then you kept on persevering. And basically, you've got to get strong not to give up, because hey, if no one fucking gets you, if no one fucking believes you, if people make fun of you, you've got to take it and being an essence of knowing human interactions, human relations, like human behavior, and knowing that People are fucking idiots, and you should be blessed that no one believes you, because guess what? You're fucking smarter than all those cunts out there, and know that, at the end of the day, aren't you happy that no one can understand you? Because guess what? No one else has had the life that you have. No one else has put in the effort. No one else has put in the time. No one else gives two shits. No one else could have fucking done it. And at the end of the day, you've still got to have an equal balance of working what is good for you to help you, and not just doing what helps not the total situation, but a clumped, crowded situation that basically drop at 10% and work on a few areas for yourself, and you might be able to get through it without going through a million divorces. So know out there that I want a woman to be in charge. I think we create a system and fix it, and we give it, as in the children, to be in charge. Because at the end of the day, if the children were in control of the nuclear warheads, and they were as children are today, but times a million times and more potential and more informed, they're not going to do anything bad. So I think we've got to do it for them, and we've got to know the world has been a bad place, but what are we going to do to fix it? I say it has to be in the arts. And basically, I'm going to read this movie to basically, I've written a letter. Would I wreck it by doing this? Fuck it, I'll read it. This is to President Donald Trump. My name is Martin, but you can call me Marty, as I hope to bring us into the future. Reference Marty Back to the Future. Marty Back to the Future came out on the 3rd of July 1985. I was born on the 5th of July 1985. So we'll skip into the movie. Okay, the movie is to be called Into the Future, or Into Droven, or Through the Eyes of Martin. So it's to show the past, the present, and the future. And at the start, it's to show the ancients building the pyramids and all their ritual ceremony, yes, sculptures of buildings. And basically it skips into today. It shows the war of World War I, World War II. Shows that both sides were funded by one person, but they don't actually point it out as being the person that actually did it, because we don't want them to get their knickers in the knot. We want them to change. We want people, through their curiosity, to probe it into actually, it's only going to be the people that work it out that probe it. But we are emphasizing on making people spiritual so they don't give two shits. And it's to show the corruption of today, and emphasizing and publicizing how there is no such thing as privacy, and every digital device is a form of spy capability. To cut the long story short, leading into the present, I myself, Martin Lynch, and my best mate that just became an ex-SAS soldier, we make contact out on the field. And they, the ETs, express we can help the global situation, and explain that an IMC, an industrial military complex, have developed a genetic cloning splicing lab incorporating biomechanical technology and quantum computing in a deep down base where there is this mutant that is hooked up to a quantum supercomputer, and it's got all our DNA spliced into it, and it feeds off our energy, and it's outputting through quantum genetic connection what our every move will be due to it sharing our genetics and using quantum technology. The short story is it leaks to Russia and China, and they find out, and hence it being in a rogue IMC, in an industrial military complex in the USA where the beast lives, a war breaks out. It shows the power stations getting cyber attacked. It shows the power going out. It shows riots, and it shows starvation. And then, cut the long story short, towards the end of that scenario, all the nukes on Earth for the first time are off the ground and in full flight. At this very moment, it goes into a scene of a galactic meeting of ETs in despair, panic, distress, as this was not their intended outcome, as the human race was their genetic project to bring the universe together, as all Earth's DNA of the human race was a combination of every ET race in the Milky Way. Then after all, the Milky Way Joint Terrorism Conflict Resolution Think Tank Operational Survival Operation Unit form a conclusion they need to go back in time, and that breaking the universe's universal code of policy, procedure, and law. And within an instant, a joint artificial intelligence, AI, and biological entity, human ET, have a multiversal hearing, and it's held on the matter and its multi-scaled situational scale of what it's worth, to the reason it holds, and to the merit it shows, and in the value it stands for. The meeting starts, ... 17 and a half seconds later, the meeting is finished and the doors roll up and a thick cloud of mist pours out, and the verdict is concluded. The outcome of the combined realms across the board of intelligence produced this statement and final conclusion after their intent concentration were held. For the first time in 2018 years in present current point of projection of a single stream simulation, it is before the court. It has further insight into a matter never once brought to its attention. Before this day, that being ... the conclusion of output manifestation creation that every entity is on its separate server in a holographic universe. Each unit has the capacity of God, and it has been concluded that the subjective portrait of life is a simulation of procreation, a simulation on a positive approach to overcome the ego of the creator, and that the matter of who the creator has no relevance in obtaining, in essence in obtaining and knowing, and it has been concluded our future's future, any one of its entities in the universe, multiverse, had lost their memory and had no recollection or could form a retention of past events, but held the stance of being a winner of a game in which they play and were born for, and were put in a position of not being able to produce, foresee what they actually accomplished past the point of winning and knowing their past memory. And it was held and left with the memory of a glimpse of a meeting with the Creator at the end, in reflection to the obstruction of the over-empowered ego and the ability to be told something and be able to retain, comprehend in it, so being reacted to and feeling they felt belittled, offended, and embarrassed, and its self-esteem diminished, making it to the possibility it could be of a godlike technology advancement and ability to create, walking along this constant prologue of feedback projected bluntly straight to the point, offending itself, producing an inability to learn its faults if pointed out. In this situational construct which we live. So it reads its signature frequency and position in time and space, and reads the vibrational resonance of its environment from its opposite direction, gathering all the data, reading the quantum waves bouncing off its simulated past and path. Weaving through a storm of broken symmetry, it tries to conclude and construct its history's path. And there, for the first time before the court, man's ego on earth was stemmed and emphasized by no other insight to the conclusion or comprehension by any other entity to understand why it was, or realize why it was to the degree it was. It was once thought he was the center of the universe and the only intelligent being in the universe, and held in disregard by the onlookers and looked at and upon a joke on the same scale of judgment was put towards the other civilizations in the universe by not bothering to connect, as the ETs were unable to understand why the new race had such faults. To its other occupants, and sheltering their thoughts of being good positive vibes, thoughts towards other civilizations, stopping it connecting as a full scale of connection throughout the universe, hence it not being a part of a full scale signature readout when God was observing them. By having a positive future, bringing combined interconnecting ability, working in conjunction in a weave of consciousness, creating a symphony of vibrational waves, reflecting and mirroring, complementing, working in combined construction, complementing, raising a vibrational scale of magnitude of interconnectedness in a holistic parallel universe organism manifesting in place, in maintaining its position, maintaining its ever-greatening degree of worth. In so, separation occurred throughout the universe, and it had lost its strength as a universe of many civilizations, maintaining and covering more space-time of being connected, leaving a large imprint of signature imprint, making it stronger and less resilient to being wiped out. Constructed negative kinetic charge. As each entity was the capacity of being a shining light bulb, being able to brighten up other entities connecting to it, to turn on and brighten up, and to work in a similar fashion with its objective of brightening up and covering more space-time. To stop beings manipulated, it had to do it as in that way, and in so turning, it had been hacked and was turning off everyone's light bulb and not connecting, with the objective of turning us all off and for us all not to have a positive charge of expression output, leaving us unable to sustain a trackable, seeable future and position. And it's also been seen through the court that the human race has been tampered with and hacked, as it has been as its predestined path and outcome of being had not worked out to the scale it was foreseen at the start of looking into the future, and the human race had been to date a joke, an embarrassment, and before the court, the human race, if they sort their shit out and the adults become more like its youth, its children, and don't strive to rule or conquer, and reside with its inner demons and outer inference of temperance and inference from an onlookers, we have the capacity to create their own lives by their intent, actions, energy. They give it, and the only thing holding them back, not being the universal's example, will be due to their lack of self-esteem and their confidence. For it is the man that acts as a detriment in a manner of their life to not being any the wiser, and the ability to not be able to change and bring up a child into the world as being advantageous was through the faults of the hackage. It is before the court that it is to its over understanding through the computation given this data. If every entity has the capacity to program themselves and create through their actions and summon co-create reality based on the power of their intent through the safety and security of their own inner mind, just based on what has been granted to Earth by Martin and his dream and his output and his effort and his commandments have been brought into existence based solely on just his input alone, will bail them out. Here is some of the intents, commandments, wishes, thoughts, actions, prayers, life events of Martin. Martin was born in Scotland and moved to Australia in 1989. He was teased about his accent at school and had ADHD and was put on prescription amphetamines, which he excelled at school. Marty went well at school but suffered depression when he thought he had cancer. He used to be the biggest computer nerd but got into the underground dance scene and chipped away at with assistance of any shyness and lack of confidence. He used to own his own business when he was at the age of 23, Budgie Smuggler's Takeaway Cafe, which he owned for 3 years before he became a researcher. And then he lost his best mate to cancer, Laurie. And Martin suffered a drug-induced psychosis and mental breakdown. Marty always went out in the town, never to pick up, but to talk about philosophy and work on how people thought and tried to understand human interaction and human behavior. Martin didn't always abuse drugs, but he's lucky he never died or looks like Skeletor. Martin experimented with hallucinogens and connected to other realms of reality. Martin pushed the rubber band so far that it got to a stage that it didn't snap, but it went one way and came out the other.